Welcome back to Scrap Cooking. I'm Harriet Clooney. This is the Urban Element Awesome Kitchen, and this is Scrap Cooking, our holiday edition. Pretty excited, gearing up for holidays. This is the show where we're gonna show you how to use your bits and bobs, little end bits, turn them into something delicious, and a couple tricks along the way, and in the end, it helps reduces waste and saves a bit of money. Today's episode, we're gonna show you how to make homemade eggnog, which I'm pretty stoked about because eggnog is delicious. The holidays are coming, it's time for decadence, and but at some point, you get kind of eggnogged out and you have some left over and you don't really know what to do with it. So we're gonna make the eggnog, and then I'm gonna show you how to make a recipe with some leftover bread from our big dinner, and make a bread pudding using the leftover eggnog. All right, so let's get started. But before we do that, don't forget to hit the like button, but more importantly, the subscribe button, because when you hit that subscribe button, you get to see this episode again. You can get alerts to know when we put up a new episode, and then you can also go back and see past episodes. You can comment to me, you can ask me a question, you can make suggestions, which I would love. So there we have it. Subscribe and like. All right, eggnog. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our milk and our cream. I'm gonna put 2 cups of milk in our pot and 1 cup of heavy cream. And I'm gonna take this little spatula and get everything out of there. And we're gonna turn our element on. Woo! We're just gonna put it on medium-high on our gas stove. But if you have an electric stove at home, I'd probably put it on medium. Just sometimes I find the electric stoves I find them a lot hotter than the gas stoves, and they take longer to heat up, but then they take a lot longer to cool down. So get it on medium. That way you can kind of look away and not kind of freak out about it boiling over, because that's what we don't want. We don't want it to boil over. We just want it to be nice and hot. So while that is going, we are going to separate our eggs. So what we are going to be using is the yolks. But don't worry, for our bread pudding, we're also gonna use the whites. So we're gonna take our egg, I'm gonna crack it. I just kind of tap it on my cutting board. I find that if I tap the bowl, often the shell will get stuck in there. So there's a couple different ways to separate your eggs. So there's this way where you put the whole thing in the bowl, and then with your fingers, you kind of gently do it that way. You can crack it and then kind of go back and forth, moving the yolk from half of your shell to the other, and then kind of there we go. And then you've just got the yolk. That's the method I prefer. If you have an egg separator tool, you can use that. But I find this to be the fastest and most effective. Excuse me. Now I've got half a cup of sugar. I'm gonna add it to our eggs. And I'm gonna take my whisk, and we are going to whisk it up. So, if you've got beaters, you can use the beaters. If you've got KitchenAid, you can put it in there and use the paddle attachment, or you can do it by hand. So, see, it's kind of bright yellow now. We want it to be pale yellow by the time we're done whisking it. And my whisk is a bit on the small side. It's not going to do too much. So I'm going to take this slightly bigger whisk. There we go. And we're also just going to be keeping an eye on our milk and cream because we don't want it to be boiling. We just want it to be simmering. So we're almost there. It's thickening up so it kind of looks like ribbons. We like that. All right, and our cream and milk look about right. It's hot, come up to a simmer, but we haven't scalded it. So I'm gonna turn it off. Gonna move these up. Now what we want to do is we're going to combine them, but if I just add all of this hot milk into this egg yolk sugar mix, the egg yolks are gonna curdle and it's gonna be gross, kind of like scrambled eggs. And so what we want is to take just a little bit of the hot milk with a small ladle, and we're gonna add a little bit at a time. So that we bring the temperature of the eggs up gradually. It's called tempering. And that way we don't scramble the eggs when we make a nice custard. So. And it's good to put it on a towel because then your bowl is a bit more stable. Now I've got enough that I can hold it. There we go. You could put it into a measuring cup as well to do this. There we go. So, we've got our mixture, it's been tempered. Now we're gonna put it back in this pot. The pot is nice and warm. Hey. And now we're gonna put it on the heat. On medium. Medium, low on a gas, electric stove. So what we want to be very careful of is curdling, because it will also do that. So we're going to get our thermometer. Digital one is better. And where did that spatula go? So what we want to be doing, this is the part, it's kind of a recipe where you can't really go anywhere because everything is potentially curdable at any point. So where you just want to constantly be moving the custard around the bottom. So you're touching the bottom, making sure it doesn't stick. So we don't want it to curdle. We don't want it to, the sugar in it, we don't want it to caramelize and burn. So we're at, we're at 150. We want to bring it up to 160. So that's sort of where we've sort of pasteurized everything. All right, we're at 160. Okay, well, there we go. Put it into this bowl. I can't wait. Now, we are gonna add, I've got about a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. If you've got fresh nutmeg, you can grate some of that in. And I've got about a little pinch of salt. And I've also got about a teaspoon of vanilla we're gonna add. Just gonna give that a little whisk because we don't want the nutmeg to clump. And now we're gonna cool that down. And once it's sort of room temp, we'll put it in the fridge. All right, so our eggnog is nice and chilled, cooled down, room temp. Now I'm gonna put it in this pitcher. Yeah. And if I wasn't gonna be having some right away, I'd just put a little piece of saran wrap over it and put it in the fridge until you're ready to use it, drink it, enjoy it. But I can't wait, so I'm gonna have a glass right now. And then I'm gonna cover it, or you have one that has a lid. That's just gonna go in the fridge like that. It's gonna keep for about a week. So you can make it ahead of time. And then if you want, you can put whipped cream on top, but I'm just gonna add a pinch of cinnamon. Yeah, that tastes like the holidays. Decadent, not too thick, but not thin either. And if you were feeling really festive, you could add some alcohol to it, notably bourbon or dark rum. So that's how we make eggnog. Now, if we didn't get to the eggnog, we left it in the fridge, we forgot about it, or we've had enough and we still have some left over, we can make some bread pudding out of it. So I'm gonna show you how to do that in a second.